Hi team, welcome to my session on Coffee with Prab, and today we're going to discuss about Data Privacy Consultant Interview Question Part 2 series. My name is Prab, and for more information you can check my LinkedIn profile. I'm already having a privacy certification like cippe, CIPM, and preparing for I'm also a student of law. I have a 17 years of experience. For more information you can check my LinkedIn profile. And one thing I want to tell you here is the questions that I'm discussing in this particular video series, it has been collected from the several blogs. It has been collected from the people who have attended the interview in the Big Four and other firms. And also the way I prepare the response is basically help you to get the job in the DPO role. This is not something a conceptual based interview question. This is more about the practical interview series. So if you're new to the channel, to subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on the bell icon to make sure you should not miss my future videos on a similar topic. So without wasting a time, let's start with the first part. Thank you. Okay, so first interview question. Can you walk through your process for determining whether a PIA, which is called Privacy Impact Assessment, is required for a particular project? So PIA is all about determining privacy risk associated with any project. And as a DPO or as a data privacy consultant, you must be familiar with PIA. Okay, so question is talking about here is the interviewer asking about how you judge, like, do this project require PIA? So by asking this question, the interviewer want to understand whether you have a practical experience on the data privacy, and here also the interviewer want to judge your quality of your thoughts. Okay, so question is basically how to respond to that. So I am a consultant and I'm going to answer this. Okay. Absolutely. When determining whether PIA, Privacy Impact Assessment, is necessary for project, I basically follow a structured approach to ensure thorough consideration of a data privacy implication. So the question is how. For instances, in recent projects, the development of a new customer data analytics platform was there. So in my previous company, I was basically involved in one of the project which is called as a customer data analytic platform. Okay, in my previous company I was involved in a customer data analytic platform. So what I did here is I first engage with the project team to understand the type of data being processed, like such as customer demographic, purchase history, interaction logs and all that. So I basically try to understand the data. Then next what I did, I conducted an assessment to understand the sensitivity and volume of the data, considering the factor like potential identifiability or volume of records is basically involved. Then I recognized the complexity and I collaborated with my PIA global team to leverage their expertise to identify any specific risk or legal requirement which is associated with data handling practice in a different region. And during that, what happened is I carefully also review the project context and the purpose, because here the emphasis will be on the intended use of a customer data for a target marketing campaign and their service improvement. So this analysis helped me to determine the PI was necessary due to the potential impact of individual privacy right and the need to mitigate the risk associated with data processing and storage. Now when I answer this question, I take one example of the cloud platform. I also share my viewpoint about taking the external help, and I also talk about type of data and all that. So this kind of a response is basically reflect your experience. Okay, so this is how you need to answer. So let's move to the next question. Thank you. Okay, next interview question. How do you assist the business with PIA question on ABC Limited and review the PIA questionnaire? So in the previous question we have discussed about how you judge. In this question we are asking about how you assist the business with PIA question. So how to answer? So in this case, what I did is, absolutely, when assisting the business with PIA questions at ABC Limited, I will first review the PIA questionnaire. And I also adopt the collaborative approach to ensure the comprehensive assessment of data privacy risk is basically understand. So what I'm going to do is I will sit down, okay, with the business team to discuss each questions in PIA questionnaire and providing a clear explanation and practical example to clarify their doubts. And during this particular process, I will give importance give importance to the understanding the flow of data within the project or system under review. For instances, in my recent project, I was involved in implementation of a new customer relationship management system. So I guided the business team through the questionnaires, highlighting a specific data flow, customer information collection, storage, and processing. And once the questionnaire is completed, I review it for the adequacy and thoroughness, and paying particular attention to identifying all the red flags or the area that may require further scrutiny. And this basically ensure that the compliance with regulatory requirements such as GDPR or other industry specific standard need to be maintained. In case where the potential risks are identified, I also collaborated with the stakeholders to recommend the system measures or control to mitigate this risk effectively. For example, in the CRM implementation project, I was recommended the encryption protocols for customer sensitive information and also enhancing the access control to prevent the unauthorized data access. So by this activity, I engage with the business team. I also provide the practical examples and I also conduct the thorough review. So I ensure that PI process not only meet the regulatory standard, but also enhance the overall data privacy posture at ABC Limited. So this is how I basically respond to this particular question. So by responding to this question, I'm showing my leadership quality. I'm talking about my communication skills. I'm also reflecting my viewpoint. Okay. So let's move to the next question. Thank you. Okay. So next question is around third party tool. Sometimes what happen, company acquire third party tool like cloud, Office 365 and all that to pulling the data. So we also need to understand the data privacy risk in that area. So that is why most of the interview nowadays, they're asking the question on this area. So question is, how do you approach understanding different third-party tools and application to determine and mitigate risk associated with the detailed data flow of the system? So how to answer? See, I started with this responses, when you're approaching the understanding and mitigation risk associated with third-party tool and application in the context of data flow of the system, I adopt a structured approach to ensure, thorough assessment and proactive risk management has been involved. Okay, so what you do? So first is that I will review the documentation. That's the first important thing. I will basically review the documentation. So I initially review documentation which provided by the third-party vendors, including a data flow diagram, security policy, and compliance certification. And this basically helped me in gaining the clear understanding of how the data is processed, stored, and transmitted within the system. I've also asked for the privacy notice. Then what I'm going to do is I organize discussion with our internal development team and key stakeholder to deal with deeper into the integration usage of third-party tool. And this conversation are actually crucial for gathering insight into the functional requirement, data dependencies, and more important, security implication of integration. The third most important thing, I would want to map out the data flow to identify the potential risk. Definitely using the information which is gathered from our documentations or discussion, I will map up the entire data flow ecosystem, encompassing on the systems and third-party application. And this comprehensive mapping exercise enable me to pinpoint the potential risk, such as data breaches, unauthorized access, or data loss during a transit. Along with that, I will also collaborate with the team to implement the security measure. It means I will work closely with the cross-functional team and I propose and implement the robust security measures, which is tailored to mitigate the identified risk. And this basically involve implementing encryption protocols, establishing access control, and everything. Along with that, the most important thing is that I will ensure the tool should be comply with the protection law. I will do the thorough integration process. I ensure that they stick either to the relevant data protection law such as GDPR, CCP, or industry specific standard. And this include reviewing all the negotiating the data processing agreement with the third party vendors, and also ensure the lawful data transfer and drafting the comprehensive privacy notice and description of a data transfer. So these are things which I'm going to do. So by adhering to this system approach, I not only enhance the security resilience of our system, but also foster the culture of proactive risk management and also compliance with the data privacy requirement. So this is how I'm going to respond to the question. So let's move to the next question. Thank you. Another interesting question, and which is a frequently asked in new DPO. Can you give an example of how you draft a privacy notice or description of transfer to ensure compliance? So how to answer? So I will definitely start with, okay, thank you for asking this question. Absolutely. In my previous role, I draft a privacy notice to ensure compliance with data protection regulations, particularly during the implementation of a new CRM system. I'm taking an example here. So Here what happened is before I do anything, I begin thoroughly understanding the type of personal data that we are collecting through the CRM system, because that visibility is basically very important here. Okay, so we need to understand what type of data we collect. So I begin thoroughly understanding the type of personal data that would be collecting or collected throughout the CRM system, including your customer contact information, transaction history, and preference. Second is, then I will basically draft the privacy notice. Okay, in a simple language. So using this understanding, I draft the privacy notice in a clear and simple language, and also aiming to communicate how we collect, use, and protect the personal data to our customer. I also ensure it was easily comprehensible and accessible. The third is called include details such as data collection processes, user right, and retention policy. Now, what is the meaning of this? See, when you're creating a privacy notice, you need to give a detailed information about everything, purpose for which the personal data has been collected, like improving the customer service, personalized marketing effort, and also we need to outline the user rights regarding their data under the GDPR, such as right to access, rectify their information, and it is also specified our data retention policy to maintain the transparency. That's why we need to have this clarity. If you don't have that, it brings the compliance and liability issues. Then what I'm going to do is I will also describe the data transfer to third party and safeguard in place. So as I said, with the previous CRM concept and all that, given the CRM system involved data transfer to third party service provider for cloud hosting and analytics, I will also include a section describing these transfers and safeguard implemented to protect data during a storage transit, such as encryption and contractual requirement. And more important, I also review the legal team to ensure the compliance. Definitely, because before finalizing the privacy notice, I will collaborate closely with the legal team to ensure we comply with GDPR and other law. And throughout this process, I also facilitate the discussion with the business stakeholders to ensure the understanding of compliance requirement to address any concerns regarding the data handling practice in the relation to the project. So this is how I'm going to answer the question. So understand the type of data, draft the privacy notice, give the justification. If any kind of a data has been transferred, we give the appropriate controls for that, review the legal team, and then collaborate with the business team why we have such kind of a notice. So let's move to the next question. Thank you. So another interesting question: how do you assist business stakeholder in understanding the compliance requirement and mitigating the risk? Now, the reason of asking this particular question is to get the visibility about your convincing skills, your communication skills, your leadership skills, and all that. So now question is how to answer such question. So in my case, if they ask me, okay, thank you for asking this question. Absolutely. Assisting the business stakeholder in understanding the compliance requirement and mitigating risk involve different approach, and we have to ensure they are well informed, engaged, and proactive in their role. So in my case, I will first organize the training session focus on specific compliance requirement, and these sessions are designed to educate the stakeholders on important regulatory frameworks, why we follow this and all that, like what is the importance of GDPR and all that, how it creating a value for the business. And these sessions will give them visibility, and by that we make them understand the responsibility and their implications of non-compliance. Second is I will create easy to understand guide, not adding too much data. To complete this training session, I will develop the user-friendly guide, document the breakdown, the complex regulatory requirement into practical actionable step, and these guides serve as a handy reference material for stakeholder to consult, and they can navigate their compliance challenge. The third thing is that I will also provide the hands-on support during an implementation with examples, like the way I'm answering your question right now. So when new process or technology are being implemented, I offer the hands-on approach to stakeholders. This includes reviewing the policies, conducting PIA, and ensure all measures align with the compliance requirement and best practices. I will also break down the complex regulation into practical steps. I will simplify the complex regulatory language into clear, manageable steps, which stakeholder can understand and implement. And this approach give the visibility. This approach demonstrate the compliance process and make it more accessible. Along with that, I will also open for all kind of questions. I will maintain the open door policy for communications, encouraging stakeholder to reach out to me for any questions or concern about the compliance. And this ensure that any ambiguity are promptly addressed and stakeholder feel supported. And also, sometime if it required, I can contact my global data privacy network team. I leverage their expertise, their collaborations, which allow us to address the new compliance challenges and proactively continuously improve our risk mitigation strategy. So by employing this strategy, I can ensure the practical tools and support need for to mitigate the risk effectively. And this holistic approach fosters the culture of compliance and proactive risk management at the ABC Limited. So this is how I'm going to answer the question. So let's go to the next question. Thank you. So another interesting question, and I love this question. Can you describe a special data privacy compliance project you have worked on, your role in it? So by asking this question, they want to test my knowledge, test my experience. So definitely. So how to answer? Thanks for asking this question. I worked in multiple data privacy assessment projects. So I was responsible for one of the leading DPI for a cloud-based systems, which is hosted on the HR. Okay, so here I'm taking example. Okay, so I was responsible for leading the DPI to ensure new HR system comply with the several data protection regulation, including a GDPR, and this involved thorough analysis of system, data processing activity, and potential privacy risk. Along with that, I also map out the data flow and identify the potential risk. I understand how the employee data was collected, processed, stored, and shared, and this mapping was crucial in identifying the potential risks such as unauthorized access, data breaches, and compliance gap. Then I also implement the safeguard because we're storing data in the cloud. So based on the identify risk, I work closely with the IT and security team to implement the safeguards. And this includes encrypting a sensitive customer data, employee data, establish the access controls and everything. And this measure significantly enhance the security and privacy of the HR system. I also conduct the training sessions on to the staff, give them visibility about, and this visibility educate them to understand the importance of data privacy, new security measures. And I achieve the full compliance with improving a system security also, because through this effort, we achieve the full compliance with GDPR and other applicable data protection regulation. Additionally, implementation of this measure improve the overall security posture of HR system and protecting the sensitive employee data from the potential threats. And I also provide the business and legal advice to the data privacy team, because throughout this project, I was also responsible to give the informations. So I provide the business legal advice on data privacy to ensure all stakeholders were aligned with our compliance objective and understand the implication of new systems on data protection practice. So this is how I basically answer the question. Let's move to the last question. Thank you. So another interesting question. How do you provide the business and legal advice on data privacy to internal client and business stakeholders? So how I started is, I will say, okay, I begin by engaging the internal client and stakeholder to understand their specific needs, concerns, and objectives, which is related to the data privacy. And this involves listening to the challenges, identifying their priorities, and tailoring my advice to align with the unique business context. Second is, I will also stay updated with the latest data privacy laws. So to provide the accurate and relevant advice, definitely I want to stay updated with the latest development in the data privacy law, GDPR, CCPA, and this ensure that my guidance is current in compliance with the evolving legal requirement. Like in India right now, we have a DPDP Act. So I must be aware about that. I need to explain them legal terms in a very simple term. That's the most important part. I have to translate the complex legal requirement into the simple, understandable term for my internal client. So by breaking down the legal jargons into the clear and concise language, it basically helps the stakeholder to grasp the implication of data privacy law and their responsibility in maintaining the compliance. I also provide the practical recommendations, okay, that are aligned with the business objective of my internal client. And this involves suggestions like data privacy measure, not only meet the legal requirement, but also support the organization goals such as enhancing the customer trust or improving the operational efficiency and all that. And last but not the least, my advice will be also focus on integrating the integrate the compliance seamlessly in the operations. So I work with a stakeholder to implement the data privacy best practice such as data minimization, secure data handling, regular privacy assessment. And I will do in a way it does not disrupt their workflow. For example, when I'm advising a new marketing campaign, I ensure the data collection methods were compliant with GDPR by recommending the clear consent mechanism and provide marketing team to proceed confidentially, and also knowing whether we meeting a legal requirement while achieving a business objective. So by taking this comprehensive and collaborative approach, I will ensure the internal client and business stakeholders are well informed, compliant, and able to integrate the data privacy seamlessly into the operation. So this is all from my side. Do let me know how do you find this particular video series and what is the learning you had from this particular video. Do share your suggestion in the comment box and do let me know, does it useful for your interview prep? Okay. and don't follow any random thing. So if you think it's really worth, do subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to make sure you should not miss my future videos on a similar topic. Good day. Bye.